Out of all of the books on my shelf, these are the ones that I would choose to read for the first time again. First, we have The Cruel Prince. This might have been one of the first books that was getting me back into specifically romantasy. A lot of people do feel like this isn't a big romance book, but for me, when I was reading it, that was like one of the main points why I read it. And honestly, I could be fed off of crumbs if the tension is good enough. The writing is so magical and whimsical. It's also just so clever and cruel and just like so fairy like. Next, we have The Ballad of Never After, and this is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. This one specifically, because something about this one was just done, like the pacing and like the relationship between the characters was just at such a sweet spot in this book. I would love to reread this for the first time again. Also, again, like how The Cruel Prince had this really cool, unique world, I feel like these books, the Once Upon a Broken Heart books, they have that same thing. It just feels like a winter wonderland. It also has like that sort of clever aspect to it, just like so fun. Oh, it also has like storybook vibes, which I also something that I love. Six of Crows, because it is one of the books that got me back into reading after like a while of not reading, and I loved it so much. One thing that stands out to me so much about this book is just the depth of the characters and the complexity of them. Time is definitely taken to dig into each character and what makes them who they are. By the end, I just felt so connected to all of the characters, so everything that happened just hit that much harder. Next, People We Meet on Vacation. This is one of the first books I read when I was getting into romance, because I only started getting into romance like pretty recently in like 2021, and this book is the one that really fully convinced me like I love romance. I felt like I was floating on a cloud of sunshine when I was reading this, and I just spent the entire day reading this book. And I just remember like I finished the book and I was like, you know what? There's nothing better I could have been doing with my day. Like that was just one of the best days ever. And all I was doing was reading this book. I was just having the time of my life, and I wish I could just repeat that day. Next, we have Love and Other Words. I remember feeling after I was reading this book like I just read something so special. It's always going to be one of my favorite romance books ever, because that feeling I got when I was reading it was just like so rare. There was definitely a lot of heartache in this. It was like one of those emotional roller coaster types of romances.